Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 26th of September. And as we are near the end of the month, obviously you have a big debate for Monday. That's going to have certainly some impact. Obviously, we saw some backfilling, a few of the positive extremes that we saw in the intraday chart. And we'll take a look at those again a little bit. But as we're nearing the 0 point, we've just made it to the positive on the shakeout. So it really, at this point, was critical to bulls to break out of this range by seeing a continuation. Unfortunately, got a rejection of the steel as far as dipping below the red. So driving forward for high press, not going to happen there. And then we saw activation of steel, and that took place on the up day right here. So we had that rejection, and then it followed through. So the potential is expecting a little bit more weakness, and as you can see, at 0.47 for the steel, cyan is at 0 right here, -1. The crossover there is going to exacerbate that, and may just get it filled back into the range that we've had here. So I'm sure there's a lot of people really chomping at the bit as to which direction things will go and if there'll be any momentum change, and that would definitely drive the market, because as we know that there's been some speculation going on about which and who candidate, and because they're very defined positions that certainly would support certain industries and put pressure on others. So definitely worth paying attention to. The market's going to give us a heads up as to what they believe at this particular point. Sort of stagnation. So there's some confusion. And when there's confusion, that's usually signs of volatility. And so we may start to see a little bit more broad swings. Now, in this particular case for the Dow, it had already gotten overbought right down here on the extreme. Too hard right there. We got up to that -2 right there, almost positive, and backfilled that completely. So no shock with that one. And likewise, same configuration. It's a little bit less than the NQ or even the ES. The ES was probably the biggest rejection view, and still has rising. Shakeout though hasn't moved positive as we saw from the other markets. So a little bit of stumbling block. Bonds just not going anywhere. I know it's a nice pop off the no rate thing, but there really just isn't that much room. And if the economy doesn't look like it's faltering, there's still going to be concern that even if the Fed's not raising rates, that arbitrarily they're going to start moving higher, despite the Fed. And there is a possibility of that. ES, Euro, making a bounce back, but I mean, this range, I could even probably put another set of lines in between here that take us from 113 to 110, and within the even broader range, which has been just above 1.8.5 to 115 range. Not expecting any alteration for that. Gold staying flat up at the higher side of it. Didn't expect this to move very far. Got positive extreme out of it already. We need to see it move back down to retrace the dip below the red line here. But at this particular point, red's right now. See, this is what we would have expected. Let me expand that so you can see this is what we would have expected to see from like the S&P and that, where the cyan moves underneath the red and red's moving higher and breaking into a new zone. Instead, red flattened out and started to look weak, and if it starts to roll over further, it's going to be problematic. I mean, I don't think there's anything dramatic unless there's some major upheaval. I know there's been a major shift in electoral map information, and that could have an impact on some cyclical rotation as a hedge. Now, the ES case chart here. This was an interesting one because you'll notice the orange turns even before the cyan moves above the red, and that's a function of the extreme nature of the orange getting so far out of its normal cycle, and then also having shakeout behaving to the point where it's dipped below all the major support variations within the different algos that are read within the shakeout indicator, and turns that color just a little bit earlier. And let's move down. I don't know if it's gone that far. This was at 61, close at 58, at its low it's 55. I'm pointing to note though, because it is such an outlier that when you move that far out of the deviation, you start to get some anomalies, and we like to take advantage of those. Now, from our standpoint, this was pretty straightforward. We started the end of Thursday with this little short signal broke, and we ended up with the full readings right there after the break configuration from a green log, and that began a cascade that did not end um, all day. So it's pretty straightforward. I mean, barely had it closed above the long algo and nowhere near the short algo. In fact, we didn't get a short algo test until right over here at the very end of it, that it wasn't producing anything significant enough to create a transition move at all. So we did though get an orange below the red. That was the closest significance that you had right there. The problem with that was just the steel never bouncing to any significance whatsoever. So it stayed pretty much in line with our expectations within those readings. It's been a fantastic thing. I had to rework a bunch of code, and fortunately here in Vegas, here through Monday, but I've been working on some of these things in between. So I'm still crossing my fingers that I'm going to get it out. I keep saying that, and I know it's driving me crazy because I really want to solve this because it really needs to have numbers on top of here as a depiction, because then within each cyclical code number, we can look to the transition of where, for instance, we have the orange, dips with closes above long algo to convert to greens at the appropriate time. And this is the only segment that's been giving me some grief, and it's coming off of this split reading here where it's an insignificant shift of the cyan below the red, and that's what is triggering this tiny anomaly. But I'm going to get it worked out, guaranteed. As always, though, continue to look for me on the Skype chat net, and I will keep putting up charts as they want. Trade well.